Comic John. And there he
Where on
is.
YouTube? Where?
Oh, I think it's youtube.com, the Comic John.
You don't have to think anymore. Obviously, you found us. And yes, the final Star Wars trailer was released on Monday Night Football halftime as the Patriots slaughter the Jets. I think that was the game.
Well, it was. And by the way, that was the highlight of the game, was the Star Wars trailer.
Yeah, I agree.
Truly.
Now, the consensus. What is this noise that I keep hearing?
That's the noise.
Soda?
That's the noise of people clicking the subscribe button, which is located at the bottom right of the screen if you're watching this on YouTube. Bottom right.
Yeah. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment. What did you think of the Star Wars trailer? I mean, I love all of it, and it feels like they raise the bar every time. There's an ocean planet apparently in this installment.
Yes. They have to raise the bar, and they do it right.
See, I had a lot of thoughts. I did an instant reaction video. I watched it for the first time, recorded myself, put it on YouTube, and I watched it twice. An initial watch through, then another watch through, kind of commenting on what I thought was happening. There's this one crazy scene that I just can't get out of my head, and I don't know if it's real. I don't know if in the movie it's like a vision, or Rey's meditating or whatever. It's a shot in this weird white room. Kylo Ren and Rey. Kylo's got the mask on, and they've got their lightsabers up, and they're smashing this black statuesque type figure. What the fuck what even is that? If the whole thing's a vision, then who the fuck cares? It's irrelevant if it's a vision. But if it's actually happening in the context of the movie, so at one point they're gonna join. They're going to be on the same team.
It has something to do with Darth Vader.
I've heard theories that it's like they're in this room where there's all these like relics of all the Sith Lords and maybe even the Jedi, but probably just the Sith. And they're going through and just smashing it to pieces, destroying the Sith.
Which has been thematic towards the last three Star Wars films. If you remember A New Hope, there's the relic of Darth Vader's when he was burned in the mire. They have the relic in that film of the mask and everything. Yes. Right. And in the second one, they kind of alluded to some stuff. I feel like to keep fans happy and to keep the storyline, kind of fresh but still, reminiscent and nostalgic, they throw in a lot of these like gems from the original first three movies.
So I had a line there. I don't know how, but I just had a line pop into my head last night when I was thinking about this movie and what J.J. Abrams, I'm trying to get myself inside the head of the almighty J.J. And he's such a bow tire. He likes to connect everything. Lost, it starts with Jack opening his eyes. It ends with him closing his eyes. When he does Star Trek, he basically restarts the timeline.
Yeah, full circle.
Even with Star Wars.
It's a style.
He redid it by kind of just retelling the first story.
Even Cloverfield, it starts off with the same day on the same video camera.
He's so clever. Like, he's the kind of guy where you're like, it's like, say you have a story that goes A, B, C, first, second, third. He takes a piece of the third and puts it before the start of the first.
Yeah, it kind of works its way back from the middle half to the third act to come full circle with the first. And it really works. I mean, he does it in such a way that it's not confusing. You see a lot of directors and, people like that you're like, wait, it's jumping around too much. What's going on? He does it in a way that, like, the pacing is very good, I should say.
The way you just said that was like Hulk in Endgame when he's explaining time travel to everyone. He's like, if you go to the past, that past becomes your future, which then cannot affect your old present by affecting your past. I don't know.
It lays it out. It makes sense.
Future,
makes sense.
Scenario. Anyway, there's a line at the end of Return of the Jedi by Luke, who kind of says he's fighting Darth Vader and he's kicking his ass and he's got him down and he chops his hand off and right. Vader's like losing breath and Emperor's good. You are now part of the dark side. And Luke says, no, never. And he throws his lightsaber down. He says, I'm a Jedi, like my father before me.
Yeah.
Now.
Pretty good.
My prediction. Kylo Ren.
Exactly.
A.K.A. Ben Solo, child of Han and Leia. Right before he dies or before he does something huge, he's going to say, no. I am a Skywalker, like my mother before me.
I'm going to need a neurosurgeon. I'm going to need a brain surgeon. I'm going to need staples, my skin, the back of my head. I'm going to need ambulatory transportation. I'm going to need my insurance card. And I'm going to need someone to nurse me back to health because my brains are all over the wall behind me.
Like an elephant sneeze.
With a prediction of that caliber. That makes sense, though. And
I'm a Skywalker like my mother before me because Leia's his mother. And he says he's not worthy to carry the name Solo because he killed his father.
Yeah. And like you said, they have to kind of up the game with something new and different each film that makes it bigger than the last, but not in a bloated way. So that would be like the perfect nostalgic end cap, if you will, given everything that happened in the past two films.
And in that moment, he's like sacrificing himself and he's dying to save everybody. This kid who starts off as the villain becomes the hero, kind of like Darth Vader.
Yeah. That's a really good guess. That's a really good
prediction.
That's a really good prediction. You've heard it here first.
It's just a line, though. Don't you think that's an Abrams line? He kind of twists the past and the present and like you know what I mean? The eye closing.
Totally an Abrams line. And when that comes to fruition in 56 days from now, you can look at the upload date in this video and know that John said it first.
Yeah, and JJ, all I ask is for a job at DC writing on one of the new shows that is on the streaming service. Preferably Titans, because it's unraveling in season 2, damn it.
It's a small favor to ask, and actually, you're kind of entitled to it at this point.
Now, my second question, because here was the big response to the trailer was, it's not a great final trailer. It's an awesome first trailer, but the last trailer, it can't be a great last trailer. They don't tell us what this story is about. I'm like...
True. It's a lot of visuals.
If you don't know what this story is about yet, then what the fuck have you been doing? It's a good guy and a bad guy and another bad guy.
Right. If you don't know what the story's about at this point, you're looking for something, you're looking for trouble that isn't there. You know, it's like you're trying too hard for something.
Or you're looking for details that like they don't really do in trailers. Like
trailers are different.
I'm trying to think Last Jedi, what they revealed in the trailer that was like just not even close to being, close to this. That they didn't reveal in the trailer, or maybe that they did.
Right. Here's the problem with a lot of that. I didn't mean to cut you off. A lot of people, so I'm glad you brought that up. I was thinking about this the other day. A lot of people do criticize trailers for whatever reason, for that reason alone. trailers have changed. They've changed since the advent of like YouTube. You don't have to sit in a movie theater and wait for the previews to get the trailer, because when they did that, you had the voiceover guy that was the same guy for every trailer that would say, "In a world, beat Jack." And
Eddie.
And they read these trailers like you were a 5-year-old, so you could get all the information in one take, because the internet didn't exist then, or it did, but it wasn't as big as it is now.
Right.
So that has changed because everything's instant. You could look up the plot line of an upcoming film just by typing it in. Google will just tell you what that's about. So the trailers have to be more like an experience visually and thematically. So I don't know. That's my own opinion. People look way too much into trailers and criticize it because they're used to the entire narrative being spoken in one trailer. Like, but Jack has a problem. Jack's doing this. Jack now has an enemy. It's like, okay, I get that.
Well,
but they've changed a lot.
In my opinion, there was one moment in The Force Awakens, as far as the new trilogy is concerned, the sequel trilogy. In Force Awakens, it was Chewie, we're home. And Han and Chewie were on the Millennium Falcon at the very end of the first trailer. I was like, holy shit, they're bringing them back together.
Yes.
And then in The Last Jedi, the famous line, in I think the first trailer, Luke saying it's time for the Jedi to end. And now in this one, the very first trailer where Rey's like out in the desert and you hear her breathing, and there's that TIE fighter flying towards her and she does that crazy backflip over it. At the very end of that trailer, after they show the Rise of Skywalker title, you hear the Emperor's laugh. Yeah. And that was like what? The Emperor's back. So every trailer so far has had a big eye-popping moment. And in this one, it was mostly just visually eye-popping because there is some shit in this trailer that visually we've never seen in Star Wars. There's this fucking like floating, well, I guess it's like a planet. It's a planet made of ice. Oh, so maybe there's a planet made of ice and a planet, like an ocean planet.
Yeah, then that would make sense.
Or maybe it's the same thing. I don't know.
Oh.
But there's a scene where there's a Star Destroyer coming up from under ice. Like it looks like it's, it was, like underneath a lake that was frozen and it smashes up through it, but it's in space.
Yeah, it was dormant.
In space.
I meant to say Force Awakens. I said A New Hope earlier. I was talking about the 2015 trailer. That's why, yeah. But I
was like, I don't recall.
No, yeah, I know you made a face, and I was like, you saw it. I know you did. No, I meant the Force Awakens, but I think it could be the same planet. In the new trailer, yeah, which is pretty amazing because they haven't done anything like that before. What would be really amazing is if it were the same planet and it was like some kind of dormant, how a lot of those planets the temperature changes so dramatically because they're so far away from whatever sun is in their solar system.
Yeah.
If like shit changed and like things started to lighten up and coming alive, and this planet was like so old, something like that. I don't know, but I think it's a really cool concept. I'm really excited to see like where that goes.
Dude, I have a weird idea. I have an idea that this ice planet or whatever it is basically been like the hideout of the Emperor for this entire time. It's basically been keeping him on ice, like keeping him alive, like,
like
not letting him die.
Demolition Man.
Yeah. I mean, like Captain America, like when they put you on ice and they don't let you die. And
cryogenically.
Something brings Rey and Kylo Ren to the Emperor, to this ice planet. And the planet starts fucking reacting. The planet starts like melting and like getting like waves and like fucking shit up and like destroying things.
That would
like
be
the
cool.
planet itself is like
it's like alive
beast.
It's organic. Or like some kind of salvage or reconnaissance team goes there. Like they're searching for something in the galaxy, and like some kind of recon team like just happens to stumble upon it and they're like, let's check it out. Like the equivalent of like maintenance workers, and then like shit starts
Yeah.
coming alive, and then like they die or something, and then then they
Yeah.
come in. Like, I don't know, but there's a lot you could do with that. It's really
I know.
anything with water planets are always
Yeah.
like scary and kind of cool, you know. Like even
Now,
Waterworld, which sucked, is still a cool movie because you're like everything's under
yeah.
fucking water and it's like
Right.
weird.
Totally. I think the setting is, it's part of the requirements, and the better the setting, or the
It
more
worked.
unique the setting, or the better you use the setting, like how The Wire uses Baltimore and how Dexter used Miami.
Yeah,
Like they used that
the
area to
backdrop.
like
It
Miami.
works.
It was convenient. There's like, water everywhere.
Yeah,
So
it
we
makes
could get
sense.
rid of bodies.
Yeah, it makes
Um,
sense. It works.
and there's so, but one more thing from the trailer before we wrap up here on Comic John. Star Wars final reaction. Final trailer reaction. Force Awaken opens up. I already got my tickets Thursday night, 6:45, December 18th, I believe. It is in 3D. Hold on a sec.
Yeah, I know. I think it's December 18th. I think you're right. The only way to see it, a film of that calibre, is certainly 3D.
Yeah, and I want to get out there early. There's a line in the trailer
A matinee.
that makes me so sad, but yet again, it's such a JJ line. It's C3PO and Poe Dameron, and they're all like they're in this like body shop, and there's these weird aliens who apparently can rewire any droid, and apparently they need C3PO to read something that his programming is blocked
His
to
encryption.
understand. Yes. So they have to like wipe his memory. And
Which
he's
is
like,
sad.
I'm just taking one last look at my friends. And
That
it's
is
so, that's so deep, because that's what we're doing. We're saying goodbye. Like the Skywalker saga is ending, and these characters that we've known since the 70s
right.
are
We're
all
talking
going.
40 years. We're talking
Yeah.
40 years of memories and
Yeah.
magic, cinematic gems, and it's such a it's such a paralleled double meaning line. On one hand, you're saying goodbye to a character, or at least the memory of a character that you've known, but you're also saying goodbye to the last like hoorah of
Right.
the central cast, as it is or will be.
Right, of course. We're gonna
For
have
40
Star Wars
years.
shit forever. That
It,
Mandalorian show looks awesome.
oh yeah, no, Star Wars will go on forever, but with the original central cast, it would be
Yeah.
the equivalent of like Indiana Jones like picking up his whip for the last time and being like, something like that, something so iconic.
Yeah.
Which,
Of
by the
course.
way, Indiana Harrison Ford said, when I go, he goes. That's the end of the character. He just dismissed any reboot or anything, which isn't up to him. But I kind of think that's cool because I could never picture anybody but Harrison Ford being Indiana Jones.
Well, I think it's already in reboot production, pre-production or something, which is
Yeah, no,
horrible. People
it's
should
already being
boycott that.
rebooted. It is already been greenlit um, for a
Is
reboot, but
is there anyone
just
they
don't.
could cast that you would be happy with?
I'm sure there is.
Hmm.
Yeah, not that I can think off the top of my head, but if they did it right and it has a fresh, the thing with the Indiana Jones is I
Tough.
I think they need to do original scripts. They can't reboot Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like
No.
that would just be dumb. But if
No.
they did like a new Indiana Jones, it probably wouldn't do well. I mean, even Kingdom of the Crystal Skull had all the like right pieces into production, and the movie just sucked.
It's so stupid that they don't just, instead of a reboot, like just starting over, just telling the same story. Continue it with a child of his who has the same name and just call it Indiana Jones and something, something, something.
That's what I think. I think they should do the same thing with any good film. Like
We can still call him Indiana Jones. Oh, it's his kid.
yeah,
Oh, there's these older movies with Harrison Ford. Crazy.
even Scarface, which is such a classic, such a violent film. It's so iconic. Like people love Scarface. They've never tried to reboot that, but I always thought they should do like a sequel where he had a son with Michelle Pfeiffer because she left him. The son grew up in Miami, and it's like the new age, the drug system. Like the DEA is cracking down. There's like social media,
Yeah.
something like that. But because they've been talking about rebooting Scarface for years, which is just dumb. But yeah, I always think it's better to like reboot. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
continue the story other than a reboot. Only a few films I ever thought should be like properly rebooted. One was RoboCop, and they didn't really. They kind of missed the mark with that. I always thought RoboCop should have been rebooted because I'm like, it was the '80s technology. It's violent, but like with Detroit today, it could be really cool. And it like wasn't that good. But like, I think it's always better if it's a really good story to not mess with like the originals and kind of continue the storyline. You know?
Now, yeah, I totally agree. Yes, I totally agree. Continue the story if you're gonna redo it.
Continuation.
Don't muck up the first one.
Barnum.
I have heard now. First couple times I've heard it, I thought he was joking. But I
Uh-oh.
swear I've heard Kevin Smith say that he is doing a Jaws. He's doing something with Jaws. And maybe he's joking, but I've heard him say it more than once.
I think
I
there
gotta
is
look
talk
it
of
up.
Jaws, but I don't think it's going to be a reboot. I think they would do a continuation.
Yeah, like it's not gonna
Not,
be
not even a
Steve Brody.
continuation, just another storyline with a shark. But that's tough to do these days because the reason that made Jaws so good was Richard Dreyfuss, Roy Scheider, and Robert Shaw, and their chemistry on screen. Because
Spills.
the shark was so shitty looking and fake. It wasn't even about the shark, but with the technology today and the CGI, it would look like Deep Blue Sea, and it would just be like another. There's so many shark sci-fi movies, you'd have to really do it right, because the movie
I know.
Jaws is about three guys bonding and surviving against like bad odds. It's not about a killer shark. That's just the
And it's
back.
about camera angles. I mean, like Spielberg is a genius, you know, because he was supposed to use so much more of the shark, but it looks so shitty. He just like put the camera where maybe the shark is, or where no one is. You know, like the way he puts the camera in that movie it's unmatched.
It's amazing.
Speaking of the great directors, Coppola joined the old man I'm sad I don't make good movies anymore
Yeah.
camp with Scorsese, saying that Marvel movies are despicable and saying that stupid people or people don't understand cinema or the people that enjoy them don't understand cinema. This is nothing
Coppola.
but our parents
Right.
saying
See,
Elvis is nasty.
he should stick to
That's all
wine.
it is.
See, Coppola is I think, is a little different than Scorsese. Coppola's made some great films. He made The Godfather, arguably like the best film ever. But
Right.
Coppola hasn't done a lot in a long time. He's made
Right.
great movies, but Scorsese consistently makes good movies. I mean, he did Hugo, which won all those Academy Awards recently. He's having a new one, The Irishman. He did good. But Scorsese, I think, for quantity, has better films. It's weird that
I
Coppola
just
said
don't
that
get it.
because he's
It's
not
like
really doing anything. He makes wine. He's a winemaker in Napa, and the fact that he would come out at
it
that
was
age
this
is kind of
s-
weird.
some interview with Mick Jagger in the 80s, 1980, he said rock and roll has no future. You know, like rock and roll is dead. And
Right.
obviously, he was wrong. So it's just like
It's weird.
it's like Jordan saying that Steph Curry shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame if he retired right now. It's so lame and it's so small, in my opinion, to
Yeah,
like belittle
I
your
agree.
peers. You know, like it's funny because we've talked about it. Like James Gunn and the Brusso brothers were like,
Right.
they're like gods to us, and they just shit all over work that we took like 10 years to create. And
So true.
How on earth are you? How is that? And Robert Downey Jr.'s like, well, they're in movie theaters.
Right. It's yeah. He and Robert Downey Jr. has kind of defended them. Like they have a right to say that they made
Yeah.
good films, and they have. But my whole take on that is like, it's like two part. One, I don't think they should be saying anything discriminatory
Right. Right.
because I don't know what they have to gain, and they're not losing anything from it. People that like Scorsese, I mean, Scorsese. My little brother knows Scorsese. My grandfather knows Scorsese. Like that's generations of his films. That's a legacy. Like that's not
Yeah.
going away.
I mean,
I
he
don't know
was a
why.
voice in Shark Tale.
Right. I don't know why you need to diminish that. But what I think's happening with a lot of, because even Spielberg said something about like Netflix shouldn't be in the Oscars. These old guys have been at the top of their game and killing it for decades. And all of a sudden the world changed and movies are instant and online and they don't know how to like handle that. And they
Wow.
take it as most old people, I'm not using ageism, as a lot of older people that are like used to the same thing over and over again. They're threatened by that. They're like, well, what's happening? What is this Netflix? And they don't know how to deal with that rather than evolve and just roll with it. They're lashing out, which
And
is of fear.
and think about this also. When Spielberg first started, that's what everyone was saying about him. Oh, he's this crazy new young crazy director who's
Right.
shooting on the ocean with this mechanical shark, and back then that was like insane movie production.
Revolutionary.
Like, what are you doing in the ocean? And now that technology has kind of surpassed gangster films, these
Right.
guys are like, oh, it's a different thing. I don't even know how to do all that shit.
Right.
Scorsese's still part of a lot.
It's kind of like when Blue Screen came out in the 90s. People were like, I mean, the movie, what is it? The World of Tomorrow. The movie with Jude Law and Angelina Jolie was the first movie. I forget the name of it. Captain Tomorrow or something like that. It was the first movie shot completely CGI. And people were very like, what are you doing? It's taking away from the art of filmmaking and this and that. And now there's rarely any movies without it.
It was
It's
like they're
just
going to replace actors.
right. Yeah, we're gonna replace actors with CGI. It's like no, they're. James Cameron said it best. He said they asked him that in an interview. They said, "What do you feel about CGI?" And you did Avatar and all this, and he says there will always be actors. He said there's actors. The ancient Greeks were actors. There will be actors in 1,000 years. You always need people to convey that emotion and be
Right.
that actor. We
Right.
just have to keep evolving with technology, and that's true.
Right.
You don't
Blend
want
with it.
imagine if we didn't evolve with it and we were still stuck making the same movies we did 20 years ago. It would be
And think
someone
about it.
else would do it. China would do it.
Somebody invented this awesome makeup combo for prosthetics to make the werewolf look more realistic. That is just the seed that eventually grew into the CGI that they use today to make it
Right.
look as real as it's ever looked. But in 20 years, it'll somehow look better.
Right.
Which I don't even understand. You're going to be able to touch him.
Right. It started with Jurassic Park. Everyone was afraid because they blended CGI with animatronics, and those CGI dinosaurs look better today than a lot of movies coming out. Jurassic Park still holds up with their CGI because they blended it properly, and that's where the line in the film, uh, "Aren't you out of a job? Don't you mean extinct?" came from because Stan Winston, the art director in Jurassic Park, once he saw the CGI, he said, "I think I'm out of a job." And Spielberg joked, "Don't you mean extinct?" And people at the time when Jurassic Park came out were afraid of like special effects are gone now. It's all going to be computers, and it's like no, that isn't art. It's computer art. It's computerized special effects. And you're still going to do
another
makeup
tool.
and stuff.
It's another tool.
But yeah,
That's all
when
it is. Not a
it's just
replacement.
it's just another tool. And when like Coppola and Scorsese come out, it just comes off as like an angry old guy that's just like afraid of like
Yeah.
these kids these days. What are they doing? Back in my
Yeah.
day, it's like come on,
Right.
dude,
That's
you're
all it is.
and they're old too. And I'm not saying they're old like they're old. I'm saying their careers are set. I don't know if I would like tarnish my name when I'm in my 80s after like this legacy, like De Niro when he's like "fuck the president." Okay, I hate the president too, but I don't know if I'm gonna like start alienating half my fan base at this age when people love me. Like, just do it with your money. Vote.
I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to figure out why we always do that in everything. We will look at what is what the younger kids are listening to now and be like, oh, it's garbage. But it's because it's like we're listening to that shit for like the first time. Like we were fans of music in general for like the first time. So it means like it ingrains into our loins and like matters.
Yeah.
So because we're older now and we're like, whatever, music is music. We have our favorites. We have like zillions that we can choose from that we're comfortable with. We don't need to listen to what's new.
Right.
And basically just like a sad, watered down carbon copy of my favorite music. But for them, it's new.
True.
It's so weird.
Yeah, exactly. It's different.
That's why I never bash the youth. It's their time. I'm not jealous. I can't be. I mean, I am jealous, but I'm not gonna.
Right. Yeah, I'm jealous
look
too.
Down on them.
But I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh yeah, Eminem was better in 2002. It's like, yeah, but this is also like where you are at this point of your life, and this is new, and this is exciting.
Right.
I mean, and new music is good too. I mean, a lot of it's crap. Yeah. Like Billie Eilish is like the stupidest person that ever. I mean, I should have like 8 records. She's awful. She's horrible.
So good.
I want to start a
song
with her. She sucks.
The bad guy. No. Duh.
Terrible.
Dude, she's so good. Did you listen to more of her songs? She's like 18.
Yeah, she should have offed herself in high school to make us listen to that crap. But new music overall is good. It's different. And you should like roll with the roll with it.
Right.
I'll listen to new music like once a week. I'll like
check yourself.
Pick a new album of what's like trending, and I'll do that. And I'll listen to a lot of like SoundCloud stuff just to see who's like up and coming. And there's like a lot of good stuff out there, and it's important to embrace that. I never want to be one of those like guys. It's like, this is terrible. Credence. It's like you're not evolving with the times.
Right.
I'm just kidding about Billie Eilish. She's not my favorite, but she's not terrible. But I just, you know what? Her music's not bad. It's more of the image. It's like she like doesn't follow anybody on Twitter. She's like, I'm a depressed individual. It's like, no, you're like every goth kid in high school I went with. You just happen to become famous this age. You know what I mean? She just, I don't know, that annoys me.
I watched her do this.
I know what it is. This
interview with Rainn Wilson. You saw that? The Lost Trivia?
No.
She knows not Lost Trivia, The Office Trivia. She's like a huge Office fan, and I don't know. Yeah. She's a kid. Like she's a really, really young kid, and like
she's like 17.
Blew up. And
right.
She wears baggy clothes because, she's a girl. Right. And she's like, I know they're going to criticize my body, so I'm just going to wear baggy clothes so they can't.
I think it's good.
She's in bad shape or anything.
I think it's good that she does that, though, to her credit, because she is still a minor.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody should be like criticizing her body. She is a kid still. She's not even an adult. Like that's, I think that's a good move.
But just to wrap up on Star Wars, I think what's going to happen is
I hate Billie Eilish. Back to Star Wars.
They're going to wipe C-3PO's brain. He's going to be able to read this dagger that gives them clues to find the Emperor. And he's going to be like this battle droid. Like C-3PO is going to not only be not like the protocol droid that he was, like the just simple interpreter. He's going to be like a killer, and he's going to be able to like operate weaponry. And we're going to see C-3PO kick some ass. But I think he, Chewbacca, and Lando, and the Millennium Falcon is going out like Homer falling down the cliff. Remember when he like falls down the cliff and it's like, that the Millennium Falcon is gonna like shred. It's gonna like smash into things. It's gonna get like blown half in pieces, and Lando's gonna be driving it, and Chewie's gonna be Chewbacca, and Lando's gonna die behind the wheel, and C-3PO is gonna be like talking to it, trying to keep it alive, trying to hotwire it, and it's gonna explode, and all 3 of them are gonna die. And that.
It's creamy like wheat.
It's Comic John.
Don't forget to subscribe at The Comic John. Leave us a comment and follow on Twitter at The Comic John. 1.
Yes, and like and share with your friends. I can't enter Excel spreadsheets anymore. See ya.